the data tracker that includes subpopulations, which once you get it set up, should help you track your kids and maintain control of that information and use it to make decisions with only very little additional input on your part. This is the blank that you will have available. You have set up here a class 1 global data, and it will import everything for every class that you set up to go with it. Then you have class 2, class 3, etc., etc. So the assumption is that all of these classes are the same class. For example, maybe 6 chemistry classes or 6 biology classes, but you can make it set up to do whatever you like. Rather than walk you through that, the easiest thing to do, I think, is to take you through one in which I have preloaded information, and that will allow you to see what the features are, which ones you want and which ones you don't want. All right, so I have some randomized student names and some actual data from some of my classes here. And you will see that I have set it up for last name, first name, and then I've set it up for 30 kids. You can always add more if you wish. You can simply click and insert row below, and it will give you more rows, and then you can change that. But I'm going to set it up for 30. If you have less than 30 kids, as I have here, I will show you what to do with that. I've also set up some subpop columns here. You can do whatever you like with them. The ones that I find useful are EB for my English language learners, SPED 504 gifted, and at risk. And then there's 2 that are blank. I have it set up to do formative assessments in light blue, summative assessments in red, and of course you can delete anything that you don't find useful. Now, with the EB specifically, you can simply click on kids and identify them as EB. So for example, at the bottom of these you will see there's totals in each subpopulation. So 18 of my 19 kids in this class were considered to be at risk in Skyward. 4 were SPED, 8 are EB. Now, EB of course has levels, and so you can, if you wish to, simply tick the box. Now I have 9 EB kids, and that's perfectly fine. Or you could do as I have done. You can take the TELPAS testing data and you can encode it into your spreadsheet. And you could do that at the beginning of the year, and then you can tell the difference between kids that are quite good English speakers, 3 or 4, or quite poor English speakers, 1 or 2. And so it's already set up to color code for you. So for example, if I want to take Miguel and code him as a 2, I simply type in 2, and there I am. Gives you a good way of keeping track, and you can use either one, either just tick boxes or you can use the numbers. For the SPED, 504, gifted, etc., those are just check boxes. These check boxes here are just used for anything that's convenient for you. If you want to tick off the kids that you've talked to, for example, after an assessment, that would be a good thing to do there. From the top, I have the titles, I have the date. Critically, I have the number of points that the assessment is out of. I do not use a percentage scale for my classes. If you do, all you need to do is put 100 in there instead of 7 or 24 or whatever I use. But the thing is set up to generate percentages. Okay, now, as we go through, here are the things that you can tell after a given assessment. Let's use the summative. It will give you the class average, the class median, the number of students who are above 50%, the number of the percentage that are above 50%, your SPED kids that are above 50%, the number, not the percentage, the EB kids that are above 50%, again, the number, not the percentage. It will give you a breakdown of the students in each category band. Mine are 70 to 100, all the way down to 0 to 30. So for example, in this particular assessment, you can see that the majority of my kids are in the 0 to 50%. which is, of course, obviously going to be an issue. Then the global is automatically importing data from all of the similar classes. Okay, so for this example, I'm only using 2 classes. Okay, but you can have as many as you like. I've included here 6 tabs, but you can have as many or as few as you want. So the global average was 30 as opposed to the class average was 29, for example. Same stuff, median, greater than 50, less than 50 in terms of percentages. Then those are my global grade distributions. And then we're going to have to manipulate this a little bit to give us our SPED and our EB information. Now what I've done is I have taken the liberty of pre-populating 2 classes, Exemplar 1 and Exemplar 2, to show you how it works with multiple classes. And I will be posting a document with timestamps for all of the major skills and all of the manipulations that you need to do for this, so you don't have to watch the whole thing each time. All right, so assuming you've got some scores in there, assuming you have gone through Skyward and you have ticked off who are your SPED kids, your 504, your gifted, your at risk, your EB, now you are ready to go ahead and manipulate the spreadsheet to give you the data that you want. Okay, so first let's start with the classes. If you look at those numbers, you can see that they're mostly quite good, but yet I have a class average of 51%. Now the reason is it's counting all of those zeros. So the easiest way to deal with this is, if you watch it, it's 51%. I'm simply going to highlight all of those and I'm going to delete them. Now it's 81%. I'm going to highlight all of those. I'm going to delete them. Okay? And I'm going to need to do that for every one of my classes. But I'm only going to need to do that one time, because then it's just copy paste. But I will need to do it that one time. All right, so that's making us look a little better already. Now, this is, don't have to do anything else with these. This is my number that are above 50 or above, my percentages that are 50 or above, my SPED number that are 50 or above, my EBs that are 50 or above. I'm not going to need to do anything with that. Once I Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to need to do anything with that. Nothing's required on your part. As long as you are happy with those ranges. If you're not happy with those ranges, okay, then you can go in and you can set this right here to anything you want. It's greater than 0.49 because I wanted 50 and above. If you wanted 70 and above, you could set it to 0.69. Okay. If you do that, then you're going to need to reset that to 0.69. And again, here, you're going to need to reset to 0.69, 0.69, okay? Greater than equal to 0.5 is what it is now. But you can set those ranges yourself if you wish. Same thing here. If you don't like the 70 to 100, 50 to a 70, then you can go in and you can reset the ranges to whatever you like, okay? So that's the command for greater than or equal to 70. This is the command to between greater than 0.5, less than 0.7, right? 50 to 70%. Greater than 0.3, less than 0.5, 30 to 50%. And greater than or equal to 0, equal to or less than 0.3 for 30%. So you can set those yourself if you don't like my ranges. All right, now, all of the global things, what it is doing is it is basically bringing in the data from all of these other spreadsheets, okay, all of these other tabs. And so, for instance, the average, it's bringing in the data from the average for this particular tab. It's bringing in the one for exemplar number 2. And then it's bringing in class 3, class 4, class 5, class 6. If you don't have 6 classes, it's no biggie. All you've got to do is go in and just take out the ones that you don't want. So just highlight them. Oops, as I just try that again. Highlight them, delete, make sure you get rid of that last comma, and there you go. It's still the same. All right, but you've got to do all of this work up front to sort of set it up the way that you want it. Okay, but once you've got it set up, you don't have to do anything else. All right, now all of those global ranges, yep, that's what we want. Now, the SPED. At the beginning of the year, you're going to have to tell the spreadsheet who your SPED kids are, who are your identified kids, in order to get them into this data. Now, the easiest way to do that is to sort the information. Okay, so I have my SPED kids here, right? So basically I can tell the spreadsheet I want the ones with the ticked boxes. Now the easiest way to do that, I'm going to click here and I'm just going to highlight all of those rows of data that could potentially have student data in them. Then I'm going to go to Data, Sort Range, Advanced Sorting Options. And I'm going to sort by my SPED column, which is F. And I'm going to sort from Z to A, because I want the ones that are ticked at the top. Then I'm going to sort by column B. That's the last names, and it puts them in alphabetical order. So here we go, sort. Now, see what it did was it put all of the SPED kids at the top. Now I'm going to do that for every section of that class that I have. And so for this example, I've only got 2. So I'm going to do it for both of them. Data, sort range, advanced sort range, sort by F, Z to A, sort by B. And there I am. They're all at the top, which is going to make it quite easy for me. Now, I'm going to roll down to the global SPED data, okay? If I double click on the average cell, it says average, and see there's nothing in the parentheses, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on every one of those SPED kids scores that I want to incorporate in there, all right? So here we are. My SPED kids, see there's 4 of them. They're right at the top, right? The first 4. So I'm going to take the first 4 and I'm going to put them in my average. I'm going to click in that cell. Then I'm going to hit comma, next cell, comma, next cell, comma, next cell, comma. Now that's all of the SPED identified kids in that class. Then I'm going to click on the tab for exemplar class 2. Notice it's the first 3 kids in that group. So I'm going to click on the first one, comma, and notice how it's turned to exemplar 2. The next one, comma, the next one. That's the last one that I'm going to do. If I had more sections, I would simply click on that tab, continue that process. Everything separated by commas. I hit return or enter, and there are my SPED kid averages. Now, rather than having to do that over and over again, like for the median, the easiest thing to do is to simply go in and copy all of those numbers, Command C, go down to median, click in the parentheses, Command V, paste them in there, hit enter, and there I am. Now, what about those? Well, it's simple with Google Sheets. You simply highlight, Command C, click, Command V, and notice it changes it. Those were all in, right, for those scores. where these are all Q for those scores. So now there's my SPED kids done. Now I'm going to need to do the same thing for my EB kids. Now, I'm not really sorting the EB kids by 3, 2, 1. I mainly use that for my own purposes and thinking about the kids' scores. So I just take all of the EB kids as a group for their global percentages. All right, so I sorted to get the SPED kids to the top, right? Well, I can do the same thing for the EB kids. It's column E, right? So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to highlight those groups. I'm going to go to Data, Sort Range, Advanced Range Sorting Options, column E, that's the SPED group, yeah? And I'm going to go A to Z. That's going to bring all of those numbers up to the top. And then I'm going to go column B, A to Z, sort. And when I do that, there's all my EB kids right there at the top, right? So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is exactly how many I should have, right? Then I'm going to need to do the same thing for the next class. Oh, looks like I've already got them highlighted, so I can just sort them again. Sort range, advanced range sorting options. Column E, that's my EB kids. Column B, that's their names. Sort them, and there they are at the top. There's 6 of them, as there should be. Now I'm going to do basically that same thing I did for the SPED kids. I'm only going to do it for the EBs. So I'm now going to click in there for the average inside the parentheses. I'm going to go. Remember, there were 8 of them, right? The very first 8. So here we go. Click, comma, click, comma, 3, comma, 4, comma, 5, comma, 6, comma, 7, comma, 8, comma. Move to the next tab, the top 6, right? 1, comma, 2, comma, 3, comma, 4, comma, 5, comma, 6. No comma because you're at the end. Hit return or enter. There are your global EB scores. And so in this particular case, my EB kids did better overall than all my kids. I need to do the same thing for median. So I'm going to take all those numbers, Command C to copy them, Command V or Control V to paste them. Now I'm going to Command or Control C to copy those. Click here, Command or Control V, and now I've got my EB global averages for the summative as well. All right, now if I want to now return my spreadsheet to its sort of normal look, my normal look is sorted by last name, so I can just highlight all of those cells that would have data in them, and then I can simply go back, advanced range sorting options. B is their last name, A to Z, and there they are, back in alphabetical order. And I can do the same exact thing for the next group. B, A to Z, alphabetical order. Now, that's kind of complicated in the beginning, but the good thing is you only ever have to do it once. All right? So, what do you do when you have another test, right? So, summative unit 2 test. Well, it's pretty simple, really. All you do is go up to the top where the letters are, and you simply click and highlight all 3 of those columns, Command or Control C to copy them, and paste them over. You do the same thing for the other tabs. Command or Control C, paste them over. Make whatever changes you want to make. Oops. Unit 2 test. Different date. Different number of points. and I can just highlight all of that, copy it, put it into the other tabs. I've changed that. Now, obviously, you're assuming that you're going to have different numbers, right? Well, I didn't change the individual scores here because this is just an example, but I did change the number of points. So my averages will be different. My averages for the Unit 2 test should be lower than my Unit 1 test because it's the same scores with a larger number of points. And so you can see that that changed the distribution overall downward for pretty much everything. Yeah? And it's going to be the same, of course, for the next group. And that's all there is to it. As long as you set it up properly that first time, then you can simply copy and paste from that point forward, change your information at the top, put in your new scores, and then you have information that you can act on. All right, now, just a couple of things just to make your life easier. You know, you have that sorting function from before. Well, you can sort by any number of things. So, for example, if I wish to, for summative Unit 2, if I wish to sort those from top grade to lowest grade, then it's column T, right? So I can highlight all of those scores. I can go to sort range, advanced sorting options, column T. I want from highest to lowest, Z to A. Column B, last name. It's going to give me my highest scores at the top. It's going to then put them in order all the way down to the bottom, and it's going to do it in alphabetical order. Okay? And so if I have any two kids that have the same score, like 36 and 36, Padron's going to come before Villarreal. And you can do that for as many things as you like. You can sort by percentages. You can sort by percentages and SPED, or SPED and percentages. It's however you want to parse the data. If all you're doing is looking at it, then you can go back and you can sort range by B, because that is alphabetical. Okay? Or if all you're doing is just having a quick look and you want to return it to the way it was before, just click on the undo button or hit Command or Control Z, and it will just take it back to where it was before. All right, well, I hope you find that helpful. If there's any questions that you have, please let me know, and do please check out the document that I posted with the timestamps on this video for the individual skills. Thank you for your attention.